Coming of Age is coming up next. I'm your host, Josh Newby. Aging can be a wonderful experience, but it's not without its challenges and big decisions. From choosing where to live to defending against scammers and robocalls, there's a lot of minefields to avoid. Well, we've got you covered on this edition of Coming of Age. But first, we'll learn more about that dreaded word cholesterol. Some of it good, some of it bad. Stay tuned. Coming of Age starts right now.
As we age, staying active in life and involved in the community can become a challenge. But with Council on Aging of West Florida's range of home-based services, you remain healthy, independent, and engaged. From Meals on Wheels and respite care to senior dining sites and the retreat, you'll feel empowered to regain your freedom while retaining what makes you, you. We've been in the community for nearly 50 years, advocating for elders and supporting those who care for our parents and grandparents. We were there when your father's health began declining, when your mother needed companionship during the day. And guess what? We'll be there down the road when you need those services too. Now, join with us as we talk together about the aging issues that matter to you.
Most every checkup for older adults includes blood work to determine cholesterol levels. Your body needs a certain amount of cholesterol to build healthy cells, but too much cholesterol can increase your risk of heart disease. Dr. Stephen Eilen, a cardiologist with the Baptist Heart and Vascular Institute, is with us today to explain what cholesterol is, why it's a concern for your health, and what you can do to make sure your cholesterol level stays in the safe range. Doctor, thank you so much for coming on today.
Good morning, Josh.
To get started, what exactly is cholesterol? We hear that word a lot.
Cholesterol is a type of fat in your body, and it is pretty much in every cell. It's used to make cell walls. It's used to make hormones. It's manufactured by several glands in your body, so you can actually make your own cholesterol. About a third of your cholesterol comes from your diet. So it's very necessary for your body to have cholesterol. So like you said, cholesterol is good, but too much is bad.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it performs a lot of vital functions for the body. So why is it a concern?
Well, it becomes a concern when it goes to places it shouldn't go. So what we think is that blood vessels get stopped up by cholesterol. Now, cholesterol is not the only reason. It's a risk factor. There are certainly some people that have pretty normal cholesterols and still have artery problems or heart attacks. But what we think happens is that arteries get inflamed from such things as blood pressure, smoking, all the risk factors. That starts inflammation in the blood vessels, and then the cholesterol gets in there. And then over years, it forms a blockage that then causes clinical effects. An interesting thing was during the Korean War, they did autopsies, and the kids who were there, 18, 20 years old, started having cholesterol problems in their arteries, even that young. So it's a thing that takes many years, and it does give us an opportunity to kind of stop that process from happening.
So why does it put someone at risk for heart disease?
Well, the higher your cholesterol, the more chance you have of getting a heart attack, getting a stroke, or having blockages in the arteries in your legs. So, you can do all kinds of studies and say, well, if a cholesterol is this level or this level, what's your risk of having problems? And your risk goes up. And as I said, cholesterol is a risk. It's not the only thing. And about half of all the people that have a heart attack, their cholesterol is not very high. But it's still recommended that you lower the cholesterol.
Obviously, like we said, some of it is important to your bodily functions. What's considered to be a safe, healthy level?
Well, that's kind of a complicated question, sorry. So if you're a normal person and you don't have any problems, then you're looking at a total cholesterol of about 200.
Okay.
That's sort of the normal. But if you do have problems, then doctors like to target a certain level of cholesterol. Your cholesterol should be much lower. You've heard of good and bad cholesterol. The bad cholesterol should be lower. So let's say you've had a heart attack or a stroke, and you need to get your cholesterol low. Well, what should it be? The bad cholesterol should be down around 70 or lower. As it turns out, there's probably not a cholesterol that's too low because, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of the cells in your body make their own cholesterol. So it's not much of a worry to get cholesterol too low.
What's the difference between good and bad cholesterol?
Well, there is, for instance, the good cholesterol is called HDL.
Okay.
And it's thought that the HDL can take cholesterol back out of the arteries, sort of like it's a transporter for getting cholesterol out of the arteries. The bad cholesterol is the stuff that gets into the artery, changes its shape, changes its molecular structure, and all of a sudden is this hard stuff that you can't get out of the artery. So the good cholesterol seems to reverse things. The bad cholesterol makes things worse.
So how can I prevent too much of that bad cholesterol?
Well, I mean, the best ways without taking drugs are maintaining your ideal body weight, exercise, and there's studies showing that the good cholesterol we mentioned, the HDL, will actually get higher the more you exercise. So that's good. And watching your dietary intake, not only calories, but what percentage of fat you take in your food helps that. Some people have cholesterol so high because they just inherited it from their parents or grandparents. There's not much they can do about it because, as I said, 1/3 of your cholesterol comes from diet, not all of it. So certainly diet in some people can make it better, but can't make it all the way better. Most doctors and somebody who has not had any problems, not had a heart attack, not had a stroke, cholesterol is mildly elevated, they say, well, look, let's take 6 months, do some exercise, watch your diet before we have to give you medicines. So those are the main things you can do. Maintain your body weight, exercise regularly. American Heart Association recommends at least 4 times a week, and get your heart rate up. I would caution people, though, that if you're older and you're going to start an exercise program, to check with your doctor first.
So obviously some people do need medication, though, for their high cholesterol, right?
Right, because a lot of people won't be able to get it down to normal.
Sure.
And pretty much everybody that's had a heart attack or stroke or whatever should be on cholesterol medicine.
Will I have to take cholesterol medicine the rest of my life if I do get to that point where it's too high?
Well, now, if you've had an event happen, again, like we're talking about stroke or a heart attack, then yes.
Okay.
If you're talking about somebody who just has a high cholesterol and that's it, they don't have any clinical events, nothing's happened to them, first of all, if your cholesterol is normal, it's recommended that you recheck it every 5 years.
Okay.
If you're totally normal, everything's okay, check it in 5 years, because your cholesterol goes up as you get older. So I think that checking your cholesterol is important as time goes by. Now, if your cholesterol is elevated and you have risk factors, and risk factors include you're a smoker, you're older, your parents have had heart attacks and all that, then it's a decision between you and your physician. Do I want to think you're at high risk? And there's all kinds of tables doctors use that sort of give you an idea what the risk is. Then you say, yeah, I better start this person on cholesterol medicine.
Okay.
And the fascinating thing about, one of the major medicines we're talking about is statin therapy.
Right.
Like Lipitor, Crestor, names that people would be familiar with. So one of the fascinating things is that you can lower your risk of, say, having a repeat heart attack or stroke or bad event by somewhere around 30% by taking statins. And that's amazing. So you have a medicine that can really lower cholesterol and also prevent problems that you may have from your cholesterol. The other side of the coin is that a lot of medicines we used to use lower your cholesterol, but don't lower your risk of heart attack.
Gotcha.
So we don't use those anymore.
Interesting. Well, great information. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Sure.
The decision to transition into an assisted living facility is not an easy one, but we can help you through it next.
Why do people love ACT's retirement life communities? There are more reasons than just the active lifestyle. Like ACT's Life Care, a plan that protects your nest egg with predictable monthly fees, even if your healthcare needs increase. So you can enjoy a carefree today and a worry-free tomorrow. Plan a visit and see why our satisfaction rating with current residents stands at 98%. ACT's Retirement Life Communities, where loving kindness lives.
What does it look like when a life is truly changed?
I feel a sense of accomplishment because I built a house. This house has brought us financial independence.
It's a great place to raise a family.
Strength, fuerza. When I look back where we've come from to where we are today, it makes my heart very happy.
Potential.
Potencia.
For me, this house means
all of us together.
So, together.
Security.
Security.
Every family dreams to have their own house. This house changed our lives.
Habitat for Humanity is at work in your community and around the world. Through shelter, we empower.
When you're living in your own space for all of your adult life, the prospect of moving into a more communal environment where you're taken care of can be a daunting one. But for some, it's simply necessary. The number of options can be overwhelming though, which is why services like assisted living locators exist. Joining us is John Horton to discuss more. John, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for the opportunity.
What is assisted living locators?
We are a free, full-service referral and consulting company that has a hands-on approach. We actually like to meet our people and talk to them, find out what their needs are, and then we do all the legwork for them. There's approximately 36 different places just here in the Pensacola area.
Wow.
And as you said, it can be very daunting, and you chase all those down, and a lot of them not going to fit your needs anyway. So we do all that for you and narrow it down to 2 or 3.
What are some things that you tell your clients to consider when they're thinking about moving into an ALF? Because some people, I imagine, may think it's time, but it's not, and some people may think it's not quite time, but it really is.
And that's why it's important to sit down with someone like Assisted Living Locators, because we can let you know that, you might just need a little in-home service, you might need just a companion service, some home medical services, and we're not going to try and force you into an assisted living. We're going to try and help you find that right solution for your family's senior needs. And so the things to consider is, do you have the paperwork in place? So many families, the seniors are kind of private, even with their own children. So you need to know their financial situation. You need to know, do you have a power of attorney? Is someone a health surrogate that can make decisions in case they can't? And then you need to look at the cost and the location. But what you have to understand, what assisted living provides is it's going to take care of your meals, it's going to take care of your housing, your utilities, basic things that you pay for right now. So there's a cost analysis that you can do, that you can reduce some of your costs and still get 24-hour care. But it's also, you can live as independent as you want to, or you're able to, with just a little help there as you need it.
Let's say I'm a caregiver or a senior citizen, and I'm thinking, it might be time to make that transition, but I'm not quite sure. What are some warning flags, maybe in terms of behavior, that indicates, now's the time, I'm going to need a little more help?
Yeah, one of the big factors is hygiene.
Okay.
All of a sudden you come into the house and Dad perhaps shaves every day, and he's unshaven for 2 or 3 days, or they're wearing the same clothes that they've worn 3 days in a row, and they're soiled. So hygiene is important. The other one is nutrition. You find that you call them on the phone, they say, hey, we're eating 3 meals a day, everything's good, but that's toast and coffee in the morning, soup and a sandwich for lunch, and then a Twinkie for the evening meal, or maybe a bag of popcorn. So nutrition's very important. The other thing is behavior and attitude. All of a sudden life's not important to them. They've got in a state of depression, or they're just not that same jovial person that they were before, not that same individual. And then the big one is falls. When a senior starts to fall, then you need to start looking first, with the doctor, what's causing this fall and how can we help them? Because so many seniors fall and they spend 2, 4, 6, sometimes 12 hours on the floor and nobody knows that anything has happened. The other thing that I like to promote is caregiver fatigue.
Yeah.
So a wife is taking care of a husband or vice versa, and that caregiver is just wore out, and they don't recognize how far their health has dropped off. And so those are signs that you need to be aware of, and I also would caution you, don't wait too long.
Yeah. You mentioned there's 30-something of these types of facilities just in the Pensacola area. Do they offer different types of services? Is it a different experience depending on which one you go to?
Yeah. There are what's called standard licensed assisted living, and they offer, they're for people that don't need a lot of care, don't need a lot of medical care. And then you have limited nursing license where they have nurses on staff more often and they can handle some services. And then you have extended congregate care, and they can handle a lot more medical services and take care of situations that you might not think they would be able to, and they would have to go to a nursing home. But it's a good bridge for people that need that care without having to spend the money at nursing home or else being in an environment that's not real satisfying for them. And then you always have your amenities, and then you have what is offered on the side for activities. And so, yeah, there's a variety and diversity of care involved in those 36 places. I'm
sure you get the question frequently. We at Council on Aging get it quite often. Are there any options for low-income individuals?
And there are. There are 10 facilities within the Pensacola area that do accept Medicaid.
Okay.
Medicaid is a long process at times, so you have to be aware of that. And yet at the same time, there are also some places that I call all-inclusive. And so your cost doesn't keep rising as you need more care. And if you can go into an early setting, you can get a decent price on it, and that might extend your care level out for 2 or 3 years until you have to make a tougher decision.
Are there any types, I'm curious, are there any type of restrictions at an ALF that people need to be aware of? Like pets? I assume a lot of people have pets, that type of thing.
And there are several that accept pets. Most of them say, 20 pounds or less, 1 per person. Sure. The restrictions are you have to be able to take care of them. They have to have their shots and everything included. Some of the other restrictions is cost. I mean, we'll just lay it out there, because you have to be aware of what it's going to cost you to move into an assisted living. And then the other restrictions, some provide transportation, some don't. And so there are different things that each place offers that if you need help with, you're going to need to make sure you know that going in.
We have just about a minute left, but I want to give you a chance. How do people use your platform? How do people begin to utilize your services?
Well, again, we like to have a hands-on approach. We'd love to meet with the families, find out what their needs are, but you can call us at 850-542-3088. I have Sharon, Cassia, Mary Beth, or myself. We can all help you. assistedlivinglocators.com. You put in a zip code and it'll bring you to me if you're in this area or anywhere around the country, because it is a franchise. And you can go to Assisted Living Locators Pensacola, but be careful, there are imitators, so make sure you get on our site, the one and only Assisted Living Locators of Pensacola.
Awesome, John. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh.
Are you getting robocalls and emails asking for personal information or threatening you with legal action or a medical emergency? You're not alone, believe me. Find out more next.
Since 1989, TLC Caregivers has been providing the special help people need to stay independent in their own homes. TLC is an employer of choice in the home care market. Our employees are screened with Level 2 background screens, drug-free, and have caregiving experience. If you have time, enjoy people, and are interested in joining us, go to tlccaregivers.com to learn more about becoming a TLC caregiver, or visit us in Cordova Square.
When cancer tries to take you away from the things that matter most, Baptist Cancer Institute offers caring physicians and the most innovative treatment options. With convenient locations and a wide array of support programs and services, we're here to help you during the most difficult of times. As a member of the Mayo Clinic Care Network, we're bringing even more innovative cancer care to our community right here at home. When you need cancer care, we'll be there.
The amount of scams in recent years has skyrocketed, especially among the older population. They're annoying, sure, but some are downright dangerous. Well, the team at the Department of Elder Affairs and the local area agency on aging are doing all they can to spread awareness about this problem. Let's learn more now with Marty Hearn. Marty, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, Josh. I'm glad to be here.
Why do these scams exist? I mean, it seems like they're so prevalent, but I can't wrap my mind around why someone would want to do this.
It's very lucrative. Bottom line, it's the money. You know, they say that it's easier to scam a senior
Yeah.
than it is to rob a bank.
Jeez.
And it can be very, very lucrative. This one we're dealing with right now, a genetic testing scam that's actually hit Northwest Florida, is a huge concern. It's very lucrative, and they're very tenacious in going after the senior population.
To talk about this scam and talk about the different forms that it takes, because
Okay.
I know it's hit our agency, it's hit some of our clients. It's downright dangerous,
Yes,
really.
it's hit even several assisted livings in various counties of Northwest Florida. I'm with Senior Medicare Patrol, and we basically cover the 4 counties of Escambia, Santa Rosa, Okaloosa, and Walton, so I'm real familiar with what's going on up here. It started out in New York, New Jersey area. It's a scam that has gravitated to Miami and Orlando, Tampa, and now it's in Northwest Florida. And they started out as a free genetic test,
Right, which sounds
for
great.
cancer. It sounds great, and the people that are, a lot of the people that are selling various other organizations on it believe they're doing a service for seniors, but in fact they're not. The problem is the free test is not free. Medicare is billed for it, and it doesn't fall within the Medicare guidelines, but really the bottom line is the only person that should be ordering a genetic test for you, especially regarding cancer, is your doctor.
Yeah.
And if it comes from your doctor, but that's fine. But if you run into it at a health fair,
Right.
or any kind of phone call, robocalls you talked about, they do robocalls, and once they know there's a live person on that end of the number, they'll call back and try to sell you on taking a genetic test. But it is called different things, and their sales pitch changes,
Of
as
course.
you've found out.
Yes.
They're calling it now a medication test to determine whether or not your medications interact with each other. They might call it a dementia test, a DNA test. Now, there's nothing wrong with the organizations that do that to determine your ancestry, but this is a genetic test determining for health reasons. And the key is they'll ask for the senior's Medicare card.
That's the first red flag.
That's a red flag. Free.
Right. That's
Medicare
the first red
card.
Right.
And then lately they've been asking for their Social Security number too. So the only reason they want that information is to bill the seniors Medicare. And the most recent case we have involved them billing Medicare for $33,000 for this free genetic test.
And of course, if Medicare doesn't cover that, then the bill goes
to the senior.
Yeah.
And now Medicare will probably cover, may cover 1/3 of it.
Sure.
I'm not going to say probably, because of course Medicare is aware of this going on now, but the senior will ultimately be responsible for the difference. So it's not free. It's not free.
So if I'm a senior and I receive a phone call, or like you said, I'm at a health fair or a senior center, and I come across something like this, or someone approaches me about something like this, like you said, it sounds great. Free genetic testing, determine if you have a gene related to cancer or something like that. It's so easy to get roped in, and they're so good at it. I mean, what's your advice? What do I do?
Well, first of all, Medicare does not pay for a genetic test to determine whether or not there's cancer in your history. What under the Medicare guidelines, they're supposed to pay for is only if you already have cancer, 3 or 4, level 3 or 4, then the doctor prescribes that to determine your method of treatment. So that's a giant red flag right there. If you get approached by somebody, walk away. Do not, under any circumstances, give out your Medicare card information or your Social Security number. Because they're going to use that information. Not only will it stop with the genetic testing, billing Medicare for that, but you could wind up with bills for lab services that you never received. They often bill it on your Medicare summary notice as gene analysis or molecular pathology. And that's a tip-off that may not be the correct test. It may not be a true test.
Sure.
And you can contact Senior Medicare Patrol. Our local number is 850-494-7101, or you can call Medicare to report it, which is 1-800-633-4227, or go on to the Medicare.gov website to find out more about the scams that are going on against seniors regarding Medicare.
I know you brought some information as well about reporting these telemarketing scams too,
right,
which are so prevalent.
Right.
If I'm just sick of receiving those,
right,
is there anything I can do? Is there someone I can report those to?
Well, the first thing is definitely put your number. You can put your cell phone now too on the do not call list,
right,
which you can go to the website www.donotcall.gov. That's sponsored by the government, but also you can report it to the Federal Trade Commission. They're very interested in that. And if you think your identity's been stolen, if somebody got your Social Security number, you can report it to the Federal Trade Commission. And the Federal Trade Commission's website is real easy to remember. It's www.ftc.gov. And there's a way to report it on the website, or you can call the Federal Trade Commission.
But rule of thumb, it seems, is that if you do have a medical need, if you need medical tests, your doctor will order it for you.
Only get it from your doctor. Stay away from booths at health fairs, any kind of fair situation.
Yeah.
Presentations, they actually have gone into assisted living centers and given presentations, and they weren't vetted. Most senior centers and assisted living centers don't know how to properly vet something like that. Again, they think they're providing a service to the senior, and it's not. It's a fraud situation. Never, ever, ever give your Medicare card out to anybody on the phone or at any event like that.
Great advice, Marty. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Josh.
And thank you for watching. Until next time, enjoy life. You've earned it.